Okay, so let's talk about the anatomy and physiology of how the woman's body works. In our pelvic area, we have the uterus, right, which is a muscle that has a cavity in the center. That's the womb, or where the baby grows when it's inside of our body. Then extending out from the uterus are the fallopian tubes. And then on either side of our uterus, we have the almond-shaped organs called our ovaries. Inside our ovaries, there's hundreds of thousands of little immature eggs that once a cycle, one or two is selected to mature towards ovulation, which is the key event in our cycle. So as they mature towards ovulation, they produce estrogen. And then after the egg is released from the ovary, the corpus luteum, it's from the follicle that the egg was maturing inside of, that material becomes the corpus luteum, and it produces estrogen. These hormones create signs that we can observe on the outside of our body. And so we're going to learn more about that as we go through the presentation. Typically, when we think of the woman's reproductive organs, we think of just the organs that are located in her pelvic area, but it's so much more than that. The woman's brain and her endocrine system is highly integrated into her reproductive system. The hormones that come from her brain interact with those hormones that are produced by the ovaries, and they play off of each other. This dynamic play of our endocrine system interacting with our reproductive system is really important to understand, because it's no wonder that women experience not just physical changes, but also emotional, energy level, mood swings, during our cycle. And a lot of this is really natural. We just need to learn how it correlates with our body.
And for men, you really need to understand that the biggest sexual organ in a woman's body is really her brain. Our sexual organs are on the outside, and the male anatomy is just the complement to the women's anatomy. Our sexual fertility, I guess, is always there from puberty all the way till we die, pretty much. So it may seem pretty straightforward for men, but for men, we need to understand how we fit into this picture, because without the woman's body, you wouldn't have the full fertility that you share.
Men, right, like Miguel said, always fertile. Women, we cycle from infertility to fertility at different parts of our cycle. There are many important events that happen during a woman's cycle. The most notable one, obviously, is our period. That's when we're taught to think that's the first day of our cycle. It's the thing that we most focus on. However, the key event, like I wanted to tell you, is ovulation. This is the event that is then followed actually by a period. There are two phases of the cycle that are based off of ovulation: the pre-ovulatory phase of the cycle and the post-ovulatory phase of the cycle. Understanding that the pre-ovulatory phase of the cycle can be very variable, while the post-ovulatory phase of the cycle is very consistent, can help women to know more about when they're going to start their period and have a lot more information about their body. In natural methods, the way that women are taught to represent their cycles is in a linear pattern, where you start with your first days of your menstruation, and then those dry days, and then you would see your fertile window, and then you would return to dry days. The changes that happen in our body is what determines our mutual fertility, right? So what does it take to conceive, right? Typically, we're always taught, you need the sperm from the man and the egg from the woman. But there's one more really important factor that we don't always discuss, and that's that good, fertile cervical mucus. Under the influence of estrogen, the cervix is going to secrete this cervical mucus, and this is the medium that the sperm lives in inside of our body. So without this, the sperm will never be able to get to the egg. So when the woman is in her fertile window, when that good, fertile mucus is present, if sperm enters the body, it'll be able to survive in that mucus and travel up to the outer portions of the fallopian tube to meet the egg that has just been released from the ovary. If the sperm and egg meet together, that's what we call conception. That's the beginning of a new human life. There's a unique genetic human being that is present there at that moment. So as the embryo travels down the fallopian tube, it goes through rapid cell division, is rapidly growing, and then 7 to 9 days later, it will travel into the uterus and implant itself in the lining of the uterus, setting up its support system for the next 9 months towards birth. If this was a female baby, by 16 weeks, she'd already have all the eggs in her ovaries that she would ever have.
Really?
I know, we start losing
them
the moment we're born. It's amazing.